So tell me about yourself. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Port Townsend, Washington. That's by the upper left corner, or the Olympic Peninsula of Washington. I spent most of my life in Sequim and Port Angeles, and Port Townsend, and I pretty much grew up in the church. I was kind of homeschooled my whole life. Went to college when I was around 17, and then I've been a grocery clerk, and washing cars was like my first job while I was going to college and stuff. And then from there, I didn't really know what I wanted to do per se with the college education, I guess. So I decided to just work. And then from there, I wasn't really satisfied with that. And around like 19, a friend of mine who sails boats told me to go on this journey with him, basically, of sailing a boat from Port Angeles to Warrenton, Oregon. And from there, that was like my first experience of like traveling on the street and pretty much doing that kind of lifestyle.
Like traveling on the street, like kind of vagabond?
Hitchhiking.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, troubadour, hitchhiking,
Yeah.
hopping some trains.
Right on.
Which I've done all of that. And kind of just have ended up where I am right now.
Yeah. Well, let's go back a little bit. Growing up, you grew up with mom and dad?
Yeah.
Any siblings in there?
I have an older sister and a younger sister.
Gotcha. And what was that dynamic like growing up in this religious household?
It was all right. I mean, I didn't have a bad childhood, I would say. I mean, around when I started branching out, I can say that I was very much sheltered. Certain social aspects I kind of didn't really get or didn't really pick up on. And even now, I'm 31 right now. Even to this day, there are some things that I still don't get or don't pick up on, I guess. But
tell me more about that. What do you mean?
Just when it comes to certain, like, sometimes people really care about certain things and I don't pay no mind to it. And I can say that's probably a mix between growing up and also a mix between of just me maybe just being how I am. And I mean that more on the side of the materialistic things. I mean that more on the side of kind of like I'm not freaking out over a Gucci belt,
right?
Or such things, but nowadays I do freak out over a Gucci belt because I go dumpster diving.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when I go dumpster diving, if I find these certain things, I can sell them.
Has a different value now.
Yeah, I guess so. Which also, if you want to talk about dumpster diving, that's kind of like my part-time job.
Yeah, we're there, man. Tell me about it.
Well, it has a lot of taboos. But literally everything that you kind of see that I'm wearing has been dumpster dived and or secondhand. And I don't like jump right in there and start doodly-doodly-doo. Like if something looks slimy and it's all like gross, I don't go any more further. I kind of just peruse it, skim it. I know some cats that like dive right in there and then like it's kind of just like, it's like, whoa, I can't do that. But yeah.
Well, my guess is there's like dumpsters that, there's food.
Yes.
There's certain dumpsters that just kind of they throw away certain things at certain places.
Absolutely.
And you kind of have those mapped out or something like that?
Yeah, in a way I do. If I want donuts, I go to a certain dumpster and they throw out literally a lot of donuts that haven't ever made me like sick or anything, and they're completely fine. And it's amazing the excess of what there is out there.
Yeah, welcome to America.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know Seattle too is known for people just leaving stuff on the side of the road.
Absolutely.
And just, you know, I mean, I've found stuff.
Yeah.
And I've also given stuff, put stuff on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, it's part of the culture up here, which is really cool, I think.
I think it's a beautiful thing. It's actually one of the coolest things I've noticed, because I've literally had all my stuff stolen to where it's like, oh no, I don't have anything. And then somehow during the same day, like 6-8 hours later, I have all the same stuff, but they're better.
I'll take it.
Like better equipment, like literally better clothes, better, more practical clothes, I guess. And just it's funny how that all works out.
Yeah.
So it's always good to don't give up. Keep the locomotive going.
Yeah, I think there's something I'm glad you said that. There's something to like not giving up and keep moving forward and trying, and like the universe, God, whatever you want to call it or whatever, just kind of somehow provides, and like
Absolutely.
I hope.
Absolutely.
Some people call that faith. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Well, tell me, speaking of, what type of religious upbringing was it?
It was Christianity. For a long time, I really didn't agree with it, and I was actually very anti-religious, which I guess I still am anti-religious, but when it comes down to it, I actually did reestablish my faith recently, in this past year, which was kind of interesting. A lot of things just happened. A lot of prayers were instantly answered, and it's a really interesting thing. And that's another thing I've noticed, is that a lot of people say universe, a lot of people say this, that, faith. And I always feel like when someone says like, oh, the universe provided, it's just basically they're replacing the word God with the universe.
Right.
And that's one thing I've noticed. And it can be like, it wasn't really like touchy subject for me to even, like most of the time, honestly, if you would have caught me just last year and you would have asked me about my faith and stuff, I would have just told you I didn't want to talk about that. And I would have been like, no, I would have been like, just didn't even know, I'm not talking about it.
Yeah. Well, to get a little piece of your history, you grew up as a kid, like doing all the churchy stuff?
Yes.
And your parents?
My mom was a pastor's daughter and was very active in the church.
And your siblings too? And
yeah, pretty much my whole family is in one way or another.
And then at some point you're like, you kind of whatever.
Around like I don't know, around like 13, 15, I don't know, I just kind of was just going there just to go there. I mean, all pretty much my whole social life and all my friends were pretty much attached to the church. And then when I started branching out and I got like, jobs and all that, and especially when I started traveling, I kind of just put it on, I put it on the back burner. I didn't really think about I was too busy surviving and like doing that whole thing to like really think about my like faith or like what I truly believe in. And it's only until recently that I've like kind of remembered that stuff is really important. And one thing I can say is that I've for one, because of the way I was brought up, I'm pretty gullible, but I think that's just with my personality already. And so a lot of people will take advantage of that, especially on the street. Because I'm very happy-go-lucky most of the time, if all the time, lackadaisical, which I kind of become that way because at the end of the day, I've been through so much, and so much crazy stuff has happened that I literally cannot make up, like, crazy stuff, like just sitting at the park over there and like all of a sudden a whirlwind of craziness all of a sudden happens, or all this stuff happens, and there's a bear on a unicycle and exploding, and clowns are everywhere, and there's a huge parade, I don't know, what have you, like randomness has happened. And then all of a sudden someone like high fives me, and then I have $5 and I'm like, yay, I can get some.
Yeah. Or some dude with the camera comes up and is like, hey man.
Exactly.
I'll pay you some money. Let's just talk.
Do a cartwheel. But no, I mean, like, I also do the whole flying sign thing, which some people call, that some people are like, oh, you're just begging. It can be that. I like to make people laugh though, so I kind of view it as a, if I'm able to make someone laugh, or what. I think it's more than that. I think it's more than just me going change. It's more like I'm providing a little glimpse of reality, of like getting someone out of their usual whatever and making them laugh, and then I get tipped for it.
I like that.
I also play music. I'm a musician. I can play banjo, ukulele, guitar. I can do all that stuff, and busking. I've been a busker for most of my whole life, honestly. That was another thing, kind of growing up the way I did. I kind of figured out that I like being my own boss. Most of my life I learned everything pretty much with a book and reading about it, and then experiencing it and talking to people who were in that whatever I was interested in, and that's how I kind of learned. And so I learned how to basically so far kind of navigate this reality, or navigate this life. And one thing that's great about Seattle is that there's a lot of good resources here, which is something that I feel like a lot of people take for granted, because I don't want to say people make too many excuses, because life is hard. This is hard. Like, I can be all happy and lackadaisical, but literally I've been mugged more times than I can count. In the sense of me getting my stuff literally just stolen. Like, I turn around, go to the bathroom, come back, oh, all my stuff's gone, kind of stuff. So there's that difficulty, and there's also a lot of there can be a lot of darkness too. There's a lot of like I've for example, a lot of my friends are not with me anymore. Due to their lifestyle, but I'm still churning it out, and I don't know. I've seen the it's weird when you fly a sign, because like sometimes you catch people who would never ever look at you and talk to you at all, and then all of a sudden they're giving you $20 and like they're talking to you, and like they just want to know like what your story is, and because I for one, I try to not be a cliche of just like looking super haggard too badly, and I do need to like shave probably, but I try to like change my clothes every single day. I try to like, make sure I shower and just take care of myself, because at the end of the day, that's really all I really need to do. And I can just, and I get work every now and then. Like I get gardening gigs, under the table type of stuff,
nice.
And that's really nice.
Yeah.
Like I love working in gardens and just pruning some trees, and just taking some weeds out of the thing and like planting some flowers.
Yeah, a lot of people just like getting their hands in the dirt, in the earth.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to connect.
It's good for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of this? I think the guy, he is from Washington. It's called grounding. It's like when you take your sock, you know, you just have bare feet
Yeah,
and you just touch the soil, and then you just kind of like, you know, pray or like meditate or, you know, do your thing, stretches. That is very important.
Yeah.
I try to do that every single day for at least 10 to 30 minutes, no joke. Just because like that is really good for yourself. And like honestly, if I didn't do that, I would probably lose my mind.
Yeah. Well, it's part of your, sounds like a little ritual that just helps you, I don't know, calm down or just
just to
mental
take
health,
in the vibes.
emotional health, right?
Yeah.
Did you, like when you went to college, was it like Bible college kind of thing, or was it?
Oh no, it was just a peninsula. It was the local Peninsula College in Port Angeles.
Gotcha.
And yeah, a lot of my roots are in Port Angeles. I kind of just ended up in the city. Like I've been coming to Seattle since I was really young. Being a musician, a busker and stuff, and I would usually come here and just play music for a weekend and then go back home, because playing live music and things back then when I was younger was kind of like, people just viewed it as like begging and stuff in my hometown. They never viewed it as except for Port Townsend, but like Sequim and Port Angeles, they kind of just looked down upon that. And as of recently, in the last like 3-4 years, I'd say it's actually more accepted now. Like people are like, oh wow, you're playing music, you're doing that. So
busking's been around a long time.
Yeah.
And I think maybe in different, I don't know, but I guess what I do know is in Seattle, it's a lot of people making some good money doing it.
Mm-hmm. And it can be. I mean, it's all just, a lot of it is seasonal.
You're right.
And this is actually my first summer that I've spent strictly only in Seattle. Usually I'm always going south, like down to, or usually I'm, basically during the summer I can end up wherever I really want. Sure. Because the weather and stuff. Yeah. And then during the winter is usually when I go, like head down south and like, you know, try to avoid snow.
Like California south?
Texas. I really enjoy. I've been to pretty much every single state except for 3 or 4.
Hopping trains?
Just hitchhiking, everything.
Everything.
Just even just like I lived in a van for a minute. I've done it by foot, rubber tramp they call them, or just via car, trains, sailboat, and then hitchhiking and stuff. Because that goes along with like being on foot. I haven't hitchhiked though in a really long time. Like nowadays, what I usually do is I'm going with a group of people that I know, and we're all heading down there in like a van or something if I'm going to be traveling, or I actually make enough money for like a good old Greyhound or what have you.
Why'd you stop? What did something happen? Why'd you stop hitchhiking?
Oh man, I will still hitchhike, but I'm just not. How can I put this? I don't feel like I'm as sharp as I was, but I still am sharp. I just don't want. I don't want to say it like this, but when you start hitchhiking, you have to accept that you might have to fight for your life. It's a very true thing that we can all be like, wee, yeah, woo. But I've been in situations where, like, if I didn't jump out of the car, I would have died. I've been in situations where the guy, like, put on gloves, and I was like, this guy's going to murder me. And I had to, like, stop the car and, like, do all this stuff. And I just don't want to go through that stuff again. If I'm able to, like, get the gas money and get like a bus ticket down there or this, that, or the other, then I'd rather do that because I can like sleep during that whole time. I can like do that. I guess. But now if I was with somebody, like then I'll probably hitchhike because you have the buddy system. You'll have somebody with you that has your back, and then that's 2 against 1.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it became too risky. You became aware of the risk, and you're like, if you're on high alert for, that's understandable. Well, I'm curious, when you took that boat trip,
I've gone on like a good like 3 or 4 boat trips.
Or that first one.
Yeah,
how old were you?
Oh, I was only 19.
And that's kind of where you like, would you say, I don't know, became homeless, I guess? Started living the lifestyle of...
I mean, I kind of, like, so a lot of the things what I do usually is I'm in an area and I'm pretty much like homeless or I'm there and I'm just kind of, I look for work and stuff and then I kind of just go wherever the wind takes me.
Gotcha.
And I've been in Ballard here for the past couple months because I just like it. Like I've met some cool people. I've met some really cool people, honestly. Like now it's like they're pretty much family, and it's cool, man. There's definitely some people here that are just in a bad mood and persnickety, but for me the good outweighs the bad here, for me at least, and it's really, really nice. And I can be comfortable here, and plus a little kind of, they have that farmers market, that area. That's a big farmers market. There's a lot of things going on. I paint and stuff too, and draw, and so I kind of sell those on the side.
Nice. Also,
it's like I'm pretty much am a good old hustler. Make an art hustler.
Well, I mean, I think that's awesome. Using your art to survive and live. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the artist's dream in a weird way.
Yeah. I mean, if I wanted to completely, which I'm taking the steps to hunker down and actually like get a spot and all that, but for me it's kind of a mixture of both, of circumstance and other things that have made me still on the street. And then also some of it is definitely not from lack of trying. Maybe I try not to dwell on that too much because I'll just end up getting really depressed.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
Well, if you had housing, like, what would that mean?
That would mean a place that, for me at least, I could store my stuff, maybe. But even then, I don't know. Like, I've heard that, I don't want to get into that too much, I guess, but I've heard some criticism on the tiny houses thing, to where some friends of mine have told me that it's nothing different than living on the street, because people still just break into your thing and take your shit. People still are doing that, Yeah,
I talked to folks, and the experiences are all over the place. I've talked to people who've been in there for tiny homes for like 2-3 years,
and they love it.
They're fine with it,
and they have like some jobs, and or even then, like they don't like. That was my thing, is that if I had a tiny home and I could like take a shower every single day and do this and that, I'd definitely get like a part-time job. Yeah. At that point, I feel like I would criticize myself and be like, man, like, why am I not getting a job? Because there's something that I would like people to understand too, is that when you're living on the street and you're homeless, houseless, a lot of what you're doing, you're surviving. Because you never know we have police officers, but there's not actual like people. So if you're gonna get bullied, and you have a group of people that are fucking with you repeatedly, they're going, like, you can't call the officer and be like, stop them, or you know, that's not realistic. You know what I'm saying? You could, but I feel like the officer would probably laugh at you, which I've never done that. Like, I just usually, like, you have to stand up for yourself here. Yeah. Like, you have to you have a lot of the times. Like, man, I've been stalked before. Like, some cats following me, and sometimes they're just really drunk and they want to fuck with the homeless guy.
Like house people or unhoused people? Or you
house
don't know?
People.
House people.
Yeah, there's some people that have like some huge like. I don't get it because I've never been that far gone down into darkness or whatever to where I think, oh, I'm gonna fuck with a homeless guy.
Right.
My brain does not, I can't fathom that.
Right.
I've tried, now this is something I've been trying to understand, but even then I still don't get a good conclusion to it, which, I don't know. That person needs a lot more healing than I do, I think. Because, like, honestly, I'll be in a great mood, and people will just find excuses to be mean, be like, oh, you're just lazy, you're this, you're that. It's like, dude, I've literally walked like 10 miles today. I'm in great shape already. When, like, what do? You sat on a desk and clicked a bunch of, like, whatever, man. Like, take it with a grain of salt, you know, and, or like, you have cats out here that are, there's a lot of lost souls out there too that just kind of, and this has happened to me a lot of times, that people will like cling on to you and they'll like follow you around kind of, but not really, but that's what they're doing. I like to call them groupies sometimes. Like, especially when I was playing music, which I'm really empathetic, and like, I don't know, like if I see someone struggling and they're out here, like, of course I'm very, like, I share pretty much everything of mine is, you know, if I have something, then someone can have it too. I'm very much like that, which is something that I used to not be at all. That, I guess that's one thing that's really has helped me be a better person, because of living on the street, is just being more patient. Like, I've definitely am a lot more patient than I used to be.
This is kind of leading me to, I like to ask this question, but you're already kind of talking about it. But Taylor, is there anything that you would want the people of Seattle to know?
I'd want them to know that, like, it's not just people taking advantage of a system, people like just being lazy. This is one thing I've always like thought, and is like, I would love to see a lot of people who criticize the homeless. I'd love to see them be out here for at least 3 months and see see how it is. I'd like them to have more criticism, because after those 3 months, I guarantee you, all of their stuff will be stolen more than twice. All of the things that they, you know, their lack of sleep, because sometimes you can't find a really good place to sleep. Because a lot of times people will psych themselves out. So that's another thing with the mental illness part, is that I think that it can wear down the mind a lot. And so what I want the people of Seattle to know is that just be more kind, because you truly don't know. And if we're just all a little more kind and we all share more and maybe take time to listen to the people that, you know, the people that are less fortunate. And if you do have it good, then share $1. I guess that's all I want to say. Share or $5. I guess that's another funny thing. The $5 is now the new dollar. Because it's just something, because, you know, milk is now $5.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, you're saying the value of the dollar has gone down, and things are getting more expensive. It's wild. I'm curious, before we wrap up, you still talk to your folks and your siblings? And
every now and then, yeah. I don't know. My family life, or immediate family, isn't the greatest. But the family that I found on the street is a lot better, almost, to be honest with you.
Lots of people can relate to what you're saying. Chosen family a lot of times is
Yeah.
a lot more healthy.
And it's really beautiful too, because I'm gone for like 2 days, and already in Ballard people are like, where were you? Or like, you know, like, and they actually are concerned, and it's something that's really cool. And I've also has experienced that in Capitol Hill as well, which is really cool.
Nice.
And so I would say also, like, there's definitely gems out here and there's some really beautiful people that are dirty.
Sweet, man. I appreciate your time. Thanks for sharing part of your story.
Thank you.
Nice. Do you have any instruments like currently that you can busk with and stuff?
Oh no, man.